In this segment, we'll demonstrate how you can shape, sand, or carve the harp neck, pillar, and body. There is another video segment that demonstrates how to assemble the body. At our shop, we pre-fit and do most of the machining of the neck and pillar. You may prefer to carve and shape the neck further if you'd like. I prefer to round the shoulder over even more to give it a nice rounded look. I pare a lot of the wood off with the edge sander. You can also remove a lot of wood with hand tools such as a spoke shave, a plane, or a chisel. Make sure you're watching the grain direction so you do not tear out the wood. A coarse rasp works pretty good too and is also effective for removing the chisel marks. I like to hand carve the transitions to give a nice smooth flow to the shape of the whole harp. Watch the direction that you are cutting with your tool to make sure that you are not tearing out wood. Finish up by filing and sanding away the machine marks. I like to finish out to about 150 or 180 grit sandpaper. I find an orbit sander to be quite effective for cleaning up this area. Keep the sander moving so that you do not create any flat spots. I finish up by sanding by hand, starting with 120 grit, then 150, and finishing up with 180. Avoid sanding here as this is the neck pillar joint. You can only sand lightly here. I like to just take away the sharp edge. And also do not sand here. Here you are free to shape the neck as you please. Just make sure you're removing all the machine marks with sandpaper. Although I prefer to use power sanders, with a lot of elbow grease you can do this without power sanders. Sanding blocks will help make this process more efficient. Cans and dowels backed with leather are effective for sanding in those curved areas. I highly recommend the use of a random orbit sander as it will greatly increase the efficiency of sanding the neck and pillar. Just make sure you keep the sander moving to not create flat spots or divots. Make sure you do not sand away the sharp edge at the neck pillar joint right here. Also avoid the edges near the body joint. If using a power sander, just keep it moving so that you do not get any flat spots. I like to start with 120 grit with both the orbit sander or hand sanding. This is one of my favorite tools to use. It has a nice soft backing so that it does not leave flat spots. We have designed a bolt-on system for the pillar neck joint. This is a weak part of the harp, and this really makes for a strong harp. You may have to sand the dowels down to make sure that they do not fit in there too tightly. I like to check the fit before applying any glue. With just a turn of an Allen wrench, it sure makes the harp neck pillar joint really easy. If it all went well for you, now you're ready for some glue. Make sure you get glue down in where the dowels go, and spread glue along the top. Also apply glue into the holes on the neck. Don't be afraid to put a lot of torque on the bolt. When you are done, clean up any glue with a wet rag. You may choose to install the plug on the top by gluing it in. You may also choose to leave it open so that you can tighten the bolt later if you wanted to. I use super glue to glue in the medallion. You can also use wood glue. Just be careful to make sure that it is oriented well. You can pare away the plug with a razor knife or a chisel or some really coarse sandpaper. I like to finish up with an orbit sander or by hand sanding. I like to sand it flat where the joint is. It is optional to transition this area of the neck around the pillar. I like to do this with hand tools like a chisel or a knife and then finish up with sandpaper. Some 40 grit sandpaper and a cylinder shaped object will help to shape this area of the harp. You can also use a knife or a chisel to remove the wood here. Be careful, don't cut this direction on the end grain, you may tear out the grain on the trim. Coarse sanding paper and a sanding block is just as effective. I like to round over the edge where the trim was installed. You can shape this contour with a hand plane or a sanding block with coarse sandpaper. I like to use a 1/4 inch round over bit. I like to cut clockwise and then go counterclockwise. I hope you found these tips to be helpful. The harp is almost ready for finish.
I will build my love a bower